All right, we're staying high. We're just not going to be feeling the heat as badly as we have for most of this summer. 90 degrees, the current temperature at Baton Rouge Metro Airport, but feeling like 95. That 95 number not expected to go into the triple digits for the next few days, thanks in large part to this number, the dew point being a little bit lower than it has been for most of the summer. That's because we've got a stalled boundary right across our coast, and because of that, we're dealing with comfortable, if not acceptable, humidity levels, and we're probably going to be staying in that trend as we make our way through the rest of this week. We'll get borderline up towards the uncomfortable category as we head towards the weekend, as we get another front closing in. So you'll notice here with the water vapor loop, a measure of moisture in the atmosphere, the mid and upper levels, kind of like an X-ray of the atmosphere, showing the area of low pressure here across the Great Lakes. That's got our next front, but that's well up towards the north. So you see the slot here of dry air. There's the indication of the separation between the moisture and the front. And then we've got another front here that you can kind of make out here in the moisture stream. So this one's stalled. This one will eventually fizzle out probably by Wednesday or Thursday as this one starts to drop towards the south or maybe even to the southwest as a backdoor cold front. So what's going to be taking place is cooler air is behind this front, less humid air is behind this front. So we're not going to get a cool down until we get this secondary front in here, but there's still some question marks as to how far south that front will get. So let's give you a first alert to what we're tracking next. And here's a snapshot of the European model with that second front starting to arrive into our area. And this is going to be our next rain chance really in our forecast. So the front will interact with some moisture and that'll produce a few showers. Now, as we look at the timing, it looks like the front's going to be arriving sometime on Friday, more than likely second half of the day. But the remaining question remains, how far south will this front get? Will it stall across our area? Will it stall across the coast? Or will it actually make its way out into the Gulf? If it makes its way out into the Gulf, we're going to see some big changes heading into the Labor Day weekend, talking dry weather, lower humidity, and even cooler temperatures. I think regardless, we are going to start to see maybe highs only in the 80s and morning starts possibly in the 60s for a few days as we head into that upcoming weekend. So we're mainly dry. We're dealing with that less humid and dry air through a good chunk of the rest of this week. Any 10% mention of rain you see here for the next few days is going to be along the immediate coastline. That's where we're expecting any rainfall to occur, closer to where the front is currently stalled. But as that second front approaches, here comes the rain chance. Now, the big question mark, where does the front stall right now? Because we don't have long-range model agreement, we've got to leave some rain chances in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday. But this is a highly uncertain part of our forecast as it stands right now. We could have to take those rain chances completely out depending on where that front heads. Let's also talk about the tropics because things appear to be settling down there. Aaron off the board. Now we've got Fernand here out in the north central Atlantic, but that's continued to head out to sea. We're also keeping track of this blob of clouds, but that continues to be poorly organized as it's made its way into the Caribbean. And right now the National Hurricane Center says no threat of tropical development as it works through the Caribbean because of a hostile environment. Fernand, maybe a few more days left before it turns into a post-tropical cyclone as it moves into the North Atlantic. Behind that, yeah, we're not tracking anything as of right now for the eastern Atlantic. And this as we get ready to head into the peak of hurricane season. So here we are right now climbing the mountain, the peak being September 10th. So we're a few weeks away from that. And then we've still got to go down the peak before we really start to wind things down for tropical season. So it's not like we're behind schedule, so to speak. We've had a major hurricane. We've had a couple of hurricanes or at least a couple tropical storms. So we'll keep our eyes out on how the rest of the season plays out, but it looks like we may get a break, a little lull for the rest of this week as there's nothing out there to track once Fernand fizzles out. 95 for your daytime high today and tomorrow. So the heat is still with us. It's just the humidity. It's going to be more comfortable outside. You're just going to kind of feel like 95 degrees. 92, 93 for Wednesday and Thursday. May increase some clouds, bringing a few showers in the forecast. But there you see that lower temperature trend. As we get into the end of the week and the upcoming weekend, with it being a holiday weekend, we'll hopefully be able to get rid of those rain chances depending on how far south that front gets. Of course, we'll keep you updated on that in future days.